Hi, this is Mark from Altcoin Buzz. Time to take a look at Bitcoin after yesterday's flash crash and see what might be coming up for Bitcoin in the future. How much further can Bitcoin drop? Are we at the bottom right now? Let's take a look and see. Okay, so let's just talk through something real quick before we get started on the Bitcoin chart. This is the thumbnail that we posted a couple days ago before the crash happened. Did have some comments about the fact that I said over the videos prior to this thumbnail popping up that as we traded sideways, I was feeling more bullish than bearish. But I do want to reiterate that we talked also about the fact that we had not been able to make higher highs and that there was a ton of pressure coming in against some of the other indicators. And that's why I was getting worried about Bitcoin. So I'm not saying that I made a prediction that this was going to happen. All I said was, this is something that was in the realm of possibility, and then we saw what transpired yesterday. Now, for those of you that don't believe that technical analysis works, I'm going to encourage you to learn how to do your own technical analysis. And Martin and I are going to be putting out some videos to show you just how to do that. But this is something that is important for you to understand. It does have a basis of theory. It does have a foundation that has been used time over time over time. It does take into effect that there is a market psychology out there, and that whether it's altcoins, cryptocurrency in general, or traditional markets, it at least gives you a foundation to work from. Rather than just letting the market take control of you, you can take control of the market. So let's get into looking at the Bitcoin chart now. Okay, so let's start off on the Bitcoin USD 4-hour chart. This chart probably is no surprise. We had that capitulation that happened yesterday and has continued into the first part of the morning. We're starting to even out right now and get some consolidation right around the 54.81 price point. We'll be taking a step back here for a little bit to look at where Bitcoin might be heading over the next month or so. Remember, our cycles have been coming in about 2-month cycles, 1 to 2 month cycles. So where we're at today is most likely the start of at least a 30-day cycle, if not longer. We haven't had a reaction rebound yet from this price capitulation, which makes me nervous. We'll take a look at some of the indicators and where those might point us and see what's going to be happening as well. But I did want to start off here just real quick to take a look at just where we're kind of at from a price action standpoint. We can even look at the volume. You can see our volume is starting to drop off a little bit. Anytime we get any kind of decent volume, it ends up being to the downside, which is not a good sign. So now if we back up to the 3-day on Bitcoin, and I brought in the 3-day just to consolidate some of those candles a little bit more to show those trend lines. You can see now we've developed a whole new trend line. That $6,000 baseline that we had been holding for pretty much the whole year has been broken through and now has put us on a descending trend line, a descending pattern still. We're following pretty much down this path. And if I zoom in, you can see we just basically touched off of that bottom wick here this morning. Again, this is a 3-day candle. So this candle will close today. And we've got 2 areas of support that we're trying to find right now. The first area of support that looks like we may have broken through, and we'll wait and see where this candle closes, is right in the area that we're trading at right now. If I move that up to where the swing low was back in November, you can see where we had some of the action kind of settling in as support back here. We are right at that level right now. So we'd really want to try and find support here and kind of a reaction right now from this capitulation. The reality is now that we've broken through the $6,000 area, this 57.85 now becomes a potential resistance for us. Between 57.85, call it 5,800 and 6,000 now becomes resistance for us. And pretty strong resistance based upon how long we held that $6,000 level. Could we continue down this trend line further? Absolutely. Continue to break through this potential support that we're trying to find right here and continue down further and now have that become resistance? Absolutely. We'll take a look at a couple other things that could be happening here in the next couple of weeks. Remember, we had talked about if we had broke through this area, and we'll look at the VPVR here real quick. Now, the VPVR, this is on the 3-day. We've been looking at it on the 1-day. We talked about how this was going to be very risky for us if we started breaking through this prior swing low, that there wasn't much support left there. As a matter of fact, there is no support under this $5,400. You can see this large gap that will need to be filled if we break below that $5,400 area. That'll take us down to right around roughly $4,500. And that would look something probably like this if we looked at the top of this resistance area that we had back in September of last year. and brought that forward to where we find some support in the VPVR, we'd be looking at somewhere between, call it 4,800 and 4,500. What do the indicators look like? Obviously, all the indicators have been blown out after that capitulation, but if we look at the 4-hour chart, the RSI is coming back up and we have very little price movement to the upside, which means that we find resistance right here at this 30-point area where we found resistance before, and that's where we had the drop off. We also have the stochastics starting to come back up with a little bit of room to move, but most likely would find resistance back here at this area before moving back down again. We really need these indicators to reset a little bit to get a good idea of where the price action may go, but this is not a good sign that we have rising momentum indicators with no price action to the upside. If we go back to the 3-day and we did a Fibonacci based upon where we kind of started that whole upward trend back in March of last year, the 786 would take us right to this support level back here at about $4,900. So you can see how this is very concerning. If we can't hold here, which looks like it's going to be very difficult for us to do, to hold right in this range, the next logical level for us to end up at, based upon where our price volume has been and where prior resistance was, is back at $4,800. A breakthrough from there takes us back to this area of $3,600. And then a breakdown of there takes us down to around $2,975, call it $3,000. So those are some of the key areas that we're going to be watching for. So just to summarize, what we're going to be looking for is to see if we can get a reactionary bounce back up to test that $5,800. When is that going to happen? It doesn't look like it may happen soon. The greater possibility is that we end up tracking back down and start looking towards this $4,700 area, the $4,800 range. But again, if we do get a reactionary bounce, which we should have gotten today, at least some indication that we're going to get one today, we're going to be looking at that $5,800 as resistance, $5,800 to $6,000. But we've now set a new lower low, and we're following a new trend line. It's not great news, but otherwise we're looking at a potential very volatile month here, or at least the next couple of weeks. No reason to look at any of the altcoins today. Most of them are going to be following Bitcoin, obviously, as we'll just leave it here at Bitcoin for now and wait and see what happens, because now with the Bitcoin Cash fork, a lot of things being politically going on in the background that have to shake out a little bit. Might have been part of this capitulation that happened here. We'll wait and see how that fork plays out. That may have some effect on Bitcoin over the next week or two. But those are the key areas that I'd be watching for, and I am watching right now. Hey, don't forget to check out altcoinbuzz.io. We'll do updates throughout the day, both on the fundamentals and some of the stuff that might be happening in TA. Also hit that subscribe and like button, as well as the alert button, so you know when these videos come up. And until next time, I hope all your trades are good ones.